Paul Heckingbottom. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Paul. How are you doing?
Guys. Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. You looking well? Down this morning?
Down last night, late last night. Got
good
the
for
train
you.
down, yeah. Can't rely on that transport, can you, on a morning?
Well, I can categorically tell you immediately that you're safe. I will not be asking you any of the questions that Stuart McCall told me to ask you this morning, right?
I was waiting for it. I nearly turned back round when I came to the front door this morning.
Well, look, Stuart, let's get straight into it. Obviously, Sheffield United was your last job. Did you feel that they pulled the rug from under your feet? They sold your best players, when you've just got to the Premier League. Yeah,
listen, I knew it was going to be tough. Even taking the job on in the Championship, I knew it was going to be tough. We were in a really difficult situation financially, so something you've just got to deal with. And then you get promoted to the Premier League, and you've gone up a level, and then all of a sudden you really are competing. Even if you've got all the tools at your disposal, you're competing against the best. So yeah, for us to lose, we lost 7 of the squad that went up. That was the big thing. I know those high-profile players leaving towards the end of the window. But I look at how someone like Luton have gone on, and to try and build on what you've been doing really, really well. Luton kept their squad together, recruited in a similar fashion to try and build an identity, and we sort of lost our identity, through just the financial problems that we had at the club. There was no way that the club were willing to let these top players who were worth a lot of money go on a free transfer the following year, because we were in a tough situation. So it meant they went the week before we start the season, which is tough when you're going up into this league. It's tough.
You mentioned that, Paul, and obviously you're correct to mention the financial problems as well. Just how difficult is it for promoted teams? You're right about Luton. I think they've been great this year, but the fact of the matter is, I think the 3 promoted teams are in the bottom 3 at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And that will tell you just how difficult it is, I imagine. It's
huge. So even in the last time I experienced it 3 years ago with Sheffield United, I think it's gone up another level since then. The athleticism of players, the technical ability of the players, and you look at every team. Each of the teams has got 2 or 3 players on the pitch at any moment in time who are exceptional 1v1, exceptional. And when you've not really got that quality and depth, it's difficult. People try and coach you here. Everyone talks about overloads and creating opportunities, whether it's wide, through the middle. It's a lot easier to just coach 1v1 situations and try and create an overload. And so when you've got top 1v1 players, which that stood out a mile this season to me, even now when I'm still watching the games, that makes it difficult, when you can see the difference in levels.
I mean, when you come up, promoted team, you need financial backing, don't you? And yet in this day and age, if you do have that financial backing, you are risking the wrath, as Forrest may be about to find out now, of the profit and sustainability rules. It makes it almost impossible, doesn't it?
Yeah, tough, because that was Forest's plan when they went up. The owner, threw all the money he had at it to try and stay up, and now it looks like they're going to be punished for it. The precedent's been set now with Everton, and their appeal's been successful, but it's still a big punishment, 6 points when you're a team down near the bottom. So, yeah, we know the rules. The problem is all these clubs, all the Premier League clubs have voted the rules in, so they're here. Yeah. If they want to amend them, they've all got to vote to amend them. That may be something. Now they know they're going to get applied, because you could see, I thought it was so obvious this January when Everton had been stung with 10 points that all the clubs who were maybe bordering on that took it seriously, the financial fair play, where previously I don't think they would have done. So the rules are here, they're getting enforced now. There may be a case now where the Premier League clubs get together and they're voting it and changing is it 105, 110 million over 3 years? They may start tweaking that.
Yeah. Which Sam Allardyce on the phone earlier, Paul, and he was talking about the importance of defending, how vital it is, particularly down at the bottom at the table. I mean, I'm at a game on Saturday night there, and I'm watching Arsenal dismantle Newcastle, right? Scored 4, and with the greatest respect, it could have been 5, 6, anything you wanted. Is that the key thing, particularly for promoted sides? They've got to be absolutely solid defensively and perhaps nick a goal somewhere.
Yeah, I think the other thing when you're working on defensive aspect of things, I think you're coaching a mentality as well, aren't you? It is more aggressive when you coach. It is more an aggressive mindset. And I think that is when you know that. So I'm refer back to that Arsenal game. I thought they were superb. Could anyone have stopped them? I thought they were excellent, and it was almost when Newcastle scored, it was almost just a little blemish on a perfect performance. So yeah, to cope with that calibre, to cope with those players, to cope with the intensity that these top teams are capable of playing at, and there's moments as well, even if you do it for 90 minutes, as we found in games, 90 minutes, the game can be lost in moments.
How do Sheffield United and teams like Sheffield United get to the next stage? And by I mean the next stage, I'm talking about like a Brighton, for example. Teams like that. And I'm including Brentford. I know Brentford are still very much in the situation, but they've established themselves a little bit in the league. How do Sheffield United make that next step?
So I think they're good examples. Their infrastructure off the pitch, those two teams you mentioned, are great, and they've invested a lot of money both in the recruitment, in how they develop, how they identify talent, both players, staff, everything. They've invested a lot of money, but then they've still had the little yo-yo moments, Brighton in particular. So that you've got to take a long-term view. Forest took a short-term view, as Jeff just said, and they may be punished for that. So the only way out, it's a long-term view. I think Burnley may have done it. Now, getting criticised sometimes, Vincent, for the way he's playing, and Vinny will stick to that. But do you know what? That may be their long-term view. Burnley have stuck with the manager. They've signed a lot of young talent who play this way. They may go back down, they may come back up and be even stronger for it if they've clearly identified that this is our way of playing, this is how we're going to compete. Luton have done that exactly the same way, but playing in a different style, but still recruited to play that style. That's the only way out, because you're not going to suddenly, bang, have the financial clout of those players, so you've got to do strategy.
I mean, despite all of the issues, you know, if I looked at your results in the early part of the season, lost by the odd goal against Crystal Palace, lost by the odd goal against Nottingham Forest, lost to an 88th minute goal at home to Manchester City, drew against Everton, lost to 2 added time goals against Tottenham. I mean, you're always in games at the start of the season. Are you surprised at where Sheffield United find themselves now?
No, and listen, I really, this is not sob story. This is just like there is factors behind that. And it's sort of what we're talking about earlier. We sold players towards the start of the season, then didn't recruit till the end of the window. So for those first few games, I saw them as opportunities to win. Palace at home, no disrespect to Palace, but you target that yet. You know, we were playing with Chris Basham and Ollie Nord as our midfield too, and we had someone make his debut for the club up top, Will Asula, 18 years old, and Benny Traore, you know, just coming from Hacken, and that was our team. And from the bench, we're bringing on academy players, and that was it for the first few games. Add to that the nature and the way we lost the players, the mentality of the group, they were fragile, and that was the toughest bit. You know, you've still got to go and compete and make sure that the players believe they can compete as well. Then we signed a few good players towards the end of the window, and all of a sudden there was a lift. And the first game we played, our team, was Spurs away. The first game after the window, McAtee was in, Ollie, Cameron Archer, Gus Hamer, Vinny Souza, the players we'd signed, and we conceded 2 late goals to lose. And you imagine if that's going to, all of a sudden you put a team out that you can play and compete with, and we played really, really well. That was a blow. I'm not going to lie, that was a blow. You could feel it. There was a deflation. But we kept competing. But the hardest thing, I think, when the results aren't coming is the belief and the mentality.
Is that effectively the difference, mate? I mean, those results you spoke about, and Jeff's correct to say you're in every game. In the Championship, is that a difference? You won some of those games, whereas the quality.
Yeah, we had. I go back to some games in the Championship. We weren't at our best, but we relied on the experience, and we'd keep a clean sheet and win the game 1-0. And then we lost John Egan to a bad season-long injury, Chris Basham to a bad season-long injury, Tom Davis when he was going to start. Those 3 all went in 1 week before we played Fulham away. And again, when you're thinking, well, this is how we might have to approach this season, sit back, defend, be really deep, and try and play in the counter with the pace that we'd signed, but then you lose the experience to defend in that way as well. So yeah, lots of factors, but it still would have been an uphill, you could see, with the teams at the bottom, uphill challenge.
Are you over it now, Paul? Are you still feeling it?
No, I'm over it. You feel because you want to reflect on it. Do you know what I mean? It's so those moments, like I spoke about, how you do the recruitment, how you try and convince the ownership, how the planning and the strategy is big. Because ultimately, I think once you get in your head as a manager that you're going to be held accountable, you can't lose sleep over when you get sacked or not, but you've got to just try and influence and give yourself the best chance, you know, to stay in the job, to succeed and to win games and get promotions. And I think that's the way you've got to look at it. Not be scared of getting a sack. It's about how many good things can you achieve in a short space of time.
text come in there said, we need Paul at Stoke City. We're in real trouble now.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.